Welcome back to Talk Miley to Me. I'm Becky.
And I'm Molly.
And we're about to talk Miley to you.
And Pink Floyd to you.
Pink Floyd to you.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
Okay, I have so much to get into.
Have you ever talked about Pink Floyd before?
I've never.
I
mean, publicly, like I've probably talked about it to my parents. And I did talk about it to Colton the other night when we watched The Wall.
A good friend of mine in high school really liked Pink Floyd, and I swear to God, every single day he wore a Pink Floyd t-shirt. And so, that's all I know about Pink Floyd is that, triangle with the rainbow.
Which is not this album.
No, it is not.
But it's iconic.
It is iconic. That's all I know about Pink Floyd, honestly.
I used to have a shirt. I used to have that same
it's
shirt.
Like you just do, right?
Yeah. And I was like, I hope someone asked me what my favorite Pink Floyd song is, because I'm going to just say probably Wish You Were Here, which is like one of the most common ones. Like, I'm obviously not like a stan. You know how people are like, what are you, name 6 of their albums. Like, if you're wearing
that shirt, name them. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't even know what this album on my shirt is called.
Yeah, same.
What is that?
The Dark Side of the Moon.
Called? I knew it. If you would have quizzed me, I would have said that.
Yeah. But the reason why we are talking about Pink Floyd today is because Miley Cyrus has made it known for a while now, publicly known, that her upcoming film/visual album, Something Beautiful, is heavily inspired by Pink Floyd's The Wall film.
And film with album that goes with it.
Yes.
Much like Something Beautiful.
Yes. And oh gosh, Becky, this is one I wish we could have watched together, because
me too.
I
needed you.
Yeah, there was. First of all, this is kind of a confusing film. If you don't have any brain cells like us, it is very confusing, and you have to like when I tell you I had so many freaking questions, I didn't even know what was going on until probably 35 minutes in. And then I still was kind of wrong. So after I watched the whole film the other night, when I was walking at work on my little lunch break, I watched this YouTube video that was breaking down what it is. What is the film? What's the plot? What's the analysis? So I had to watch that also.
I should have
sent it to you. I saw it last minute today, and I was like, I'm just going to listen to this. I just listened to it like it was a podcast. But it was 30 minutes. So I'll link it maybe in the show notes if you guys want a concise knowing of what The Wall is and you don't want to watch the movie, maybe you can look on YouTube and do it that way. The movie's also on YouTube, which was nice.
Yeah, that's where I got it. And it was 90 minutes. It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
Feels like a movie.
Yeah. So I told my roommate that I was going to watch it, and she was telling her friend about it who has seen it and is into this kind of stuff. And I have a screenshot of a conversation that they had, and I need to read what he said, because he says, she's like, Becky's about to watch The Wall. And he's like, ugh, for real, it's a very loaded film. It will probably make zero sense to her. Parentheses, not because she's dumb. It's a very weird and convoluted movie, and it's also not very good, but it's cool.
It's very heavy.
Oh, thank God. Because once she said this to me, I was 15 minutes in, and I was like, so once he said it's not because she's dumb, I was like, right, great.
You're validation.
Yes.
So what I thought was interesting is that, because I've been doing a lot of even though we don't have Something Beautiful yet by Miley Cyrus, I've been comparing what we've already seen and what we've already what we know about the project to Pink Floyd's The Wall. The Wall musical film came out in 1982, but the concept album that fed into this film, that the film is based off of, came out in 1979.
Right.
I thought that was really interesting.
Isn't that wild?
With Miley's, we're getting it the album.
Right.
We're getting the album first, but then a week later, we're getting the film. Or days later. Not even a week. We're getting them at the same time. So, of course, this isn't going to be exactly like The Wall. She just said inspirations from it. But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see eventually what she has very similarly to The Wall versus what she doesn't at all.
Because right now, after watching The Wall, I'm like, what? Now, what the hell is Miley doing that has anything to do with this, other than that it's an album that goes with the film? To me,
I have
right now,
a lot of theories.
Let's go.
Yes. Okay.
Go.
So just to give like a brief overview, The Wall blends like live action with animation, which is something I also don't think Miley's going to do.
No.
It's like trippy AF. It's like, obviously most of it is live action, but it also has some like parts, and some of the music videos in it are like trippy animations.
Yeah.
Which are very cool, but I was just like, I just kind of got lost in it, you know. It was a cool experience. But it's a psychological story of a rock star named Pink. So the main character's name is Pink.
Okay.
The movie opens up with that little boy, right? And it's like, I feel like it's like right after World War II.
Yeah.
And that little boy is then like, that's him looking back at his younger self, and then Pink is like the skinnier white guy in the film that is like in the majority of the rest of the movie. That it kind of like goes through his life.
Yes.
That even that took me a minute. I was like, okay, like, who's the little boy? Who's the man? And then I found out they were the same person.
Yeah, I feel like I figured that out pretty quick.
Yeah. I wasn't sure at
but
first.
Regardless, it was like still kind of hard to follow. Yeah.
So then the film explores Pink's mental breakdown and his descent into madness, triggered by emotional, psychological, quote, walls that he has built around himself due to traumatic experiences in his life. So the wall becomes like a prison to him. Oh. And the tragedy is that eventually the tragedy of it that you find out is that the quote wall, which is like him sheltering himself away from the dangers of life, is actually what cuts him off from life and love, and is like the enemy in the long run. Like I said, it's very, very loaded.
Oh my God.
There's like a lot of themes. So at first I was like, okay, is this a movie that's about, is it very political? At first I thought it was very political, which it is.
It did,
but it's not
that
only that. Yeah, it's not only that. I first thought it was just about, post World War II.
Because there was lots of war scenes.
Yes, and then we find out his dad passed away. His dad passed away in World War II, which is the first kind of tragedy that deeply affects him as a child. And then, of course, they reoccurringly show those visuals throughout the rest, because it follows him through his life, that tragedy. Not having his father around, and then his mom becoming somewhat of like a helicopter parent to him because she lost her husband. And there's a song, I think, called Mother on the album and the film, where it symbolizes that, like, okay, like when he was a child, she's like, I'm gonna protect you from the world, basically, like the hardness of the world because of the tragedy they just went through.
Yeah.
But then, as we see, he buries him, like another brick in the wall is just those events happening one after another that like builds a wall around him and locks himself away from love and like connection from other people. Okay, so that's like one thing.
Insane. Oh,
it's
one.
Like loaded.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's one.
Well, okay. Isolation, kind of what I just talked about. Isolation, and then the fame and identity crisis is what I think is really interesting, and what I think Miley might relate to a lot with her film, because he does become a rock star, but he's like very emotionally numb during these scenes of being a rock star, like a groupie coming to his room, and he is just like mute the entire time. He's very disconnected. You can obviously tell he's like coping with drugs and just to cope with the loneliness and like his mental instability. We talk about this already, but like how it's very anti-authority. Yes. And we see that with, his feelings about the war after he lost his dad. But then we also see that when he thinks about like the school teacher that was way too harsh on the kids, which was like a big thing back in the old days, is like school teachers would literally like beat children.
Yes. That's wild.
Which, yeah, I forget about too sometimes. But even like my parents talk about how like when they were really young, like how harsh teachers were.
Yes, I remember that too. My parents saying that.
Like the ruler.
Yeah. And now, like, here in corporate America, I am a manager of adult humans, and I have to gentle parent.
Yeah,
when true. I have to be like, hey, are you doing okay today? And they're like, yeah, why? I'm like, because you sucked today. And I still can't say it like that.
Yeah, or else you'd get canceled or written up to HR. And then I would say the last, like, another theme is psychological collapse. So, like, the end of the movie, the end of the film, the wall that he's in eventually, like, traps him completely. He feels guilty. He kind of has, like, a come to fruition moment where, like, he realizes, oh, he is his own worst enemy. Like, he kind of did this to himself. Yeah, I mean, it's not like your stereotypical movie. Like, it's not going to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Right.
It's
and
very unique.
Part of that is because there's no dialogue. It's the music behind you, which I was really struggling because I'm watching the visuals. I'm trying to understand what's happening. And at the same time, I could not listen to the lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, same. I know. So going into this, I knew Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2. I knew that song. That's like their biggest song.
That, yeah.
And then I knew Comfortably Numb. And I think that was like the only two I knew off of the album.
Yeah, I didn't know any of them. I did know a little bit, Another Brick in the Wall, but not enough where
that's their biggest
like I said,
song.
I did not even I couldn't hear the lyrics because I was too busy figuring out what was happening on the screen in front of me.
Yes, it's a lot, especially like I could relate. I didn't know what was happening. I had to like Google things while I was watching the film. Going back to, I guess, why we're covering this album. She said in Harper's Bazaar last fall, when she made that announcement that there's going to be an album, a visual album, it was fun to revisit that article because I'm like, oh my God, so much has happened since then.
Right.
And seeing what she said about the upcoming film back then made what's happening now like feel a little bit like it makes more sense now.
Yeah.
But she said she first saw this classic rock film as a teenager with her brothers and a good friend. They rented a limo, smoked weed, and wore 70s style fur coats.
Yeah.
Which is like, I feel like that is the best way to watch this film because it is so like, I'm in my like psychedelic.
Absolutely.
Like, and you can, and I also want to go through like some of her like connections and history with Pink Floyd throughout her career because we've seen her cover Pink Floyd. We've seen her be a fan of Pink Floyd throughout her entire career, which I think makes this even more interesting that it led up to this point.
Yeah.
But she said, we really leaned in, and so I have this heartfelt attachment to it. My idea was making The Wall, but with a better wardrobe and more glamorous and filled with pop culture, which I think makes a lot of sense with what we're already getting from like a music video standpoint.
Yes. And it takes reading that article again to kind of like bring yourself back to what she's going for, right? Because right now we have 3 videos that really, I mean, they seem like Miley Cyrus music videos right now, right? It's Miley Cyrus looking hot and singing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's more to it, and I think that we're going to unlock what the more to it is further into the film, further into the album.
Completely agreed. And it's interesting that we're recording this the day that she announced her film is going to be premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival in June. So
it's like a film, you guys.
It is a film. I did see it's only like, 55 minutes.
Oh, is that the runtime for the whole album then?
I'm not sure. I'd have to do some cross-checking on that. But it can't be that much more.
Does it? Let's see. Does it say on Spotify? Because it has like the number of tracks.
I want to say it's probably going to be. I'm guessing her album might be somewhere around like 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes.
Endless Summer Vacation was like 48. It has to be longer than that.
Yeah,
because Something Beautiful is a long song.
It is, and I think there's going to be another song on the album that is like her longest ever, right?
That's right.
So that is something about The Wall is that when looking at the album tracks, there is like 4 sides to their album that contribute to this film. Mm-hmm. But looking at them, like they range from like 30 seconds to like 6-minute long instrumentals.
Right.
And they do a lot of, I mean, like The Wall has like no dialogue.
No.
I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong, there's some, but it's mostly just the music and the visuals are telling a story. Mm-hmm. That's what I also think is like what made it a little bit difficult to watch because we're so used to watching a movie that has so much dialogue telling the story. This is like a different way of like watching a movie. It's like
yes, and on top of it, I use subtitles now. I have to read it in order to hear what they're saying.
No, same. Especially like if
We've been ruined.
Yeah, Looking back at some of her history with Pink Floyd, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some things. So leave us a comment if you can think of any other time she's like referenced the band. First of all, her album, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. I mean, that was a full psychedelic pop album.
Yes.
Produced by the Flaming Lips, which a lot of like current psychedelic music credits back to Pink Floyd, like as a band, because their influence on like psychedelic music, legendary, right?
Yeah.
Like, they had a huge influence on, especially like when it comes to mixing it with like rock and being like a bit more mainstream. Not that Pink Floyd was super mainstream, but they had their moment.
I think that they definitely were. I mean, maybe the biggest that there was to do this type, right?
And one of the onlys. Like, it's very unique what they did. And it made me think, like, this is very unique for Miley to do in her space where she's at.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else this mainstream that is doing this kind of project. Like, I don't. In the last 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's, like, also really cool to think about, because I know there's, like, a lot of Stan Twitter is going nuts. And it's in shambles. But can we just pull
yourself together?
Yes. What do they say in the wall? You can't have any pudding if you don't eat your meat. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Period. But like, that is something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Listen, I loved. Okay, as a side note,
but I'm a vegetarian and I'm scared of him.
That was
That's
our
what Miley
modern.
says.
That's our modern. Another brick in the wall is don't trust me.
If he says he's got beef, that I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him.
That music video, when I watched it, Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd, I watched it when I was younger and it scared me. Like, I was actually so scared of it because there's like kids walking in a meat grinder. It's very eerie. It's very hard watch. But I mean, as an adult, I obviously know it's fake, like whatever. But as a child, I remember I would go into a bar with my parents, a bar and grill. Okay, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, they serve food.
Slim Jims, chips, yeah.
Food.
They had limes. But I would go into a bar and like they'd be playing it on the TV. And I just remember being like, what the actual? Like, because it was these kids going to the meat grinder. So it is a very eerie watch, I will say. But what I wanted to get to is like fans should be excited because truly no one else, like right now, to her mainstream success is doing something like this.
Exactly.
None of the other girlies are doing something like this. And also thinking about like how much work this would have to take from a creative standpoint to not only create these songs, but make them all flow together in a like storytelling way that visually makes sense. I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, no wonder she's been so MIA.
Yes, exactly. And really and truly thinking about it, her last era was what, 2 years ago? That's not that much time when you think about, again, how long it takes to put this shit together, to think of it, to go to the studio, and then to do all the work on it. Not even to mention the sourcing of all the outfits, the filming of it all, the editing of it all.
She has a
producing it.
Yes.
That's and so like, much time for each one of those steps. And she did all of it.
And to think about like how long it took Pink Floyd. They released their album in 1979. That film didn't come out till 1982.
3 years. That's for the difference.
I think they had the film in mind when Pink Floyd, like when they were writing the album, they had the film in mind because, well, how do you make all of it? Some of it's so specific.
Yes, exactly. And the album itself is a story. So
yeah, Dead Pets obviously was, I feel like she probably drew a lot of inspiration from Pink Floyd there. She's done numerous covers by Pink Floyd. She did Comfortably Numb at the 2019 iHeartRadio Festival. I just remember she was like pissed at the audience during that. Nobody got it. Nobody got it. Nobody was chanting.
Just the basic facts. Thank you. You must be drunk.
It's like Coachella. The crowd at Coachella is so. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Don't piss me off.
What are you doing? How was Charlie XCX up on stage, like, just going absolutely nuts? And you're standing there, like, with your phone, like, yeah.
Because they don't care. They're only there to be there.
True.
They're only there to say that they were there.
True.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga, best I've ever seen.
Oh my God, I still haven't watched her set yet.
I've watched it twice. I'm about
Where
to watch
did
it
you
a
find
third
it?
time.
That's not blurry.
Well, I was watching the live stream and I just rewinded it. So I wonder if Coachella still has it up on their YouTube channel.
When are they gonna? Last time I checked, they didn't. I feel like they do that on purpose.
They might.
Maybe they'll eventually. You know, like
I think they might.
Yeah.
They have to because it was so well received. Seriously, I've seen
they'll make
nothing
money
but
off
good
of
things.
the ads if they post on YouTube. Why not?
So good.
I did reveal in our last episode, my solo episode, that we were gonna see Mayhem Ball.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit in the solo episode last week, and I talked about how I'm going to see you at the end of May. I talked a lot about you for you not being there. Actually, sometimes
all of you, excuse my absence. I've had a hell of a week, and it's only Wednesday.
It's true. I know, and I explained that too. I said she's in her busy season at work, and I said since you're in the event and restaurant space, your schedule is like everywhere. Sometimes it's really hard, because there's events that are late at night. But she also did Wish You Were Here 2020 SNL.
How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year.
Not from this album. Wish
and
You Were
what
Here
a
was
perfect song to sing in 2020.
No, literally. It's very so that's something else I want to talk about is her voice is like perfect for this pop rock opera. That's something beautiful.
I need to go listen to that. I just got the chills thinking about how good that cover was. Ooh, I'm gonna listen to that when we're done.
And when I was, looking into the Pink Floyd of it all, people talk about how Roger, one of the lead vocalists for the Wall album, Roger Waters, his vocal style is also very like raw and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Miley's is very similar. Like I feel like out of the pop girlies, she has a very like emotional, raw voice.
Yeah.
Like you can feel what she's going through.
For sure.
There were some crazy moments that I was like, I wish Becky was here. This has nothing to do with something beautiful. Well, okay, first let's talk about how Pink Floyd's track 1 in the film is called In the Flesh. And what I found was interesting is that this song starts off for like the first so many seconds, like 20 seconds, I feel like, very quiet. Like if you were playing it on a record, you would be like, oh, is it even on? Like you wouldn't even know if it was on, okay? Yeah. And then all of a sudden it has this point in the song where it's like jarring and it's like, it kind of like wakes you up. Well, does that sound familiar?
Familiar, anybody?
Something Beautiful has that, where it starts off very, slow, jazzy, and then it's like, yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, we're already getting a parallel there.
Uh-huh.
Something I did not even realize. It's Something Beautiful is the first actual song on Something Beautiful.
Yes.
And we don't know how these songs are going to be laid out in the film. I always thought they're going to be laid out the same way they are in the album. But she doesn't have to do that.
That's an interesting point.
Because
I also assumed it would just be...
The wall jumps around a little bit.
Does it?
I noticed that too. Because I was like, I was checking like these are going in order. I was Shazamming the songs while watching the film because I didn't know what songs were which. And I realized it's jumps around a little bit.
Interesting.
Like obviously I think the prelude is going to be first,
that.
But is End of the World really going to be track 3 in the film? We don't know that.
But but it's called Act 1 of these 3.
That's true.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I guess I just don't know what that even means yet,
I feel like the transition from Prelude to Something Beautiful makes sense with the videos next to each other. Is it the same after Something Beautiful and...
I didn't think so at first, but when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Something Beautiful how that music video and how the song ends is very chaos. It seems like there's debris flying everywhere. There's lights like flashing, fire starting, whatever. It looks like chaos, right? And then it goes into let's pretend it's not the end of the world. So I
know. I was thinking the same thing.
It took me a minute to get to that point, because at first I was like, these don't go together. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, they could.
Yeah.
Because that's the end of the world, the chaos that's happening and something beautiful.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. And that's a great point to make, that this is what Miley does. It kind of takes a minute.
It does.
And so all of you just wait a second. The rest of the world will catch on. They just
and
need
if they
a
don't,
minute.
who cares?
Also true.
Like, the ones that get it, get it. The ones that don't.
And the ones that get it, that's all we care about, honey.
No, seriously. And if some of her fans don't get it, okay. There's other fans that will.
Change your name. They're all threatening to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I talked about in the last episode that just to make sure we're touching grass.
Yeah. No, because literally, guys, like just a couple of days ago, people have been saying to me, like, Miley's new song. And I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? It's been 2 weeks. And they're like, what?
Wait,
like, the general public do not know.
Everyone that listened everyone that listened to the last week's episode is listening to this saying, Molly, stop talking about the same shit you talked about last
It was
episode.
3 days ago.
Okay, but to your guys' ears, it's last week.
Yeah.
I talk about that because I've had friends in real life that are part of the GP that are not in our, close little tight friend group that does live online. I've talked to them and they're like, Miley has a new song out.
Which is crazy because it was #1 on New Music Friday, which is usually to me a big deal.
It is a big deal, but is everyone really? I feel like it's a big deal to me because I'm always online and I'm always looking for new music, but not everybody is doing that.
It's true. I literally just made my friends watch the Lady Gaga performance with me, and that was them finding out that Lady Gaga has a new album out and now they cannot stop. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, I'm sorry I've kept it from you this long. I've known for a while.
I guess that makes me feel better a little bit about Miley's new stuff.
Yes.
It's hard because there's so much now. There's so much content. There's so much music.
Yes. And it's hard for us to remember that is not the norm to like constantly be watching out for new music, because honestly, I wasn't like this until recently. I never knew that it was so great to listen to an album front to back. I would just listen to the pop music that was on the radio, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Is End of the World on the radio? If it's a single, it has to be, but
it's supposed to be. Anybody hear it out there? Let us know. If you've heard it on the radio, leave us a comment. Are you doing some market research out there? Let us know if you've heard it out in the wild, because I have not. But anyway, so
I feel off topic.
Yes, it's okay. That's okay. That's what a podcast is for. You can go everywhere with it.
True.
So I thought that was interesting. Okay. The one that I actually jumped out of my seat, and I'll put a clip in if you're watching the video, if you're watching this podcast, you'll see what I mean. Song number 2 in the film, and I think maybe on the album, is called The Thin Ice.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know the song. But in the visual film, there is a scene of Pink, the main character, laying back in a pool, similar shot to Slide Away when she's has her arms out.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Blows my mind. I know this has nothing to do with something beautiful, but I thought it was worth mentioning, especially since she covered Comfortably Numb around the same time she released Slide Away.
Yeah, wait.
I'll put a side by side up. And I'll even put it on our Instagram because it's crazy. But it's like Pink character is laying the same way in a pool, and obviously it's a little bit more gory because I think there's like blood or something. But then Miley in Slide Away, it's like, I think it's one of the ending shots of her in the music video. She's laying in the pool with her arms out. Do you know? Am I making this up in my head? Do you know what I mean?
No, you're not. Yeah.
So I wanted to point that out because I audibly gasped.
Well, yes, it does. It's not something beautiful, but it definitely could show like the way that she's been inspired before.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, that's probably my favorite connection so far. That actually I had no idea that I would put that compared to Slide Away. Some other things I noticed. Right after Comfortably Numb comes on, which is one of my favorite parts of The Wall.
There is no pain you are receiving.
Maybe it's because it's one of my favorite songs, but it's a moment where Pink is having this mental instability. He goes in the bathroom, he shaves his face, shaves his eyebrows off, shaves his head, and then he's like passed out in a seat. People come in, they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? He's going through this like drug trance, it seems like. They're taking him to the hospital, they're getting him help, all this stuff. And that's when Comfortably Numb is playing. At the end of Comfortably Numb, we get this shot of Pink, and I'll put this image up of him. He has no eyebrows. He just looks a little jarring because it's not who you're used to seeing. His hair is kind of like a buzz cut and it's black. Looks like he has some kind of like eye makeup on. He kind of looks like a whole different person.
Okay. Yeah.
And the makeup in it reminds me of the still image that we got from the Something Beautiful trailer 1 of Miley in that like face paint that's kind of like dark.
Yeah.
And she has like kind of looks like glamorous clown makeup, remembering the exact photo.
I think that I'm thinking of what you are, yeah.
She's like walking up the stairs.
Uh-huh.
In the shot.
Yeah.
It gives me the same vibe as that. That could be a stretch, but that's the first thing I thought of.
Okay. Yeah.
When actively looking for things that could be cross compared to it.
Sure.
And I am so
Which was the assignment.
But I'm so intrigued to see what the other song, like, because we have so many shots in the trailer that we have not gotten anything else for yet, and I'm so intrigued. I predict that's going to be about her relationship to Fame, and her relationship to everything she's kind of went through with Fame the last couple years. Instead of following a character like Pink, because none of the band was in The Wall, but Miley's obviously going to be like the main character in Something Beautiful, so that's a huge difference. Something Beautiful will follow Miley's emotional journey of healing and self-expression amid societal chaos, and probably has hints of like her relationship to Fame.
Yeah. No, it makes actually so much sense, and I feel dumb I didn't think of it.
I didn't think about it until this film, actually.
No, and that makes sense, especially given what she's publicly talked about, what her last era was kind of all about, and just given her history. Because something that I was thinking about while watching The Wall, thinking about comparing it to what we've seen from Something Beautiful so far, is I was like, okay, like The Wall is a movie. There's characters that we're following. You're watching a story play out. So far, our three things have been the Miley show of her singing into a microphone. And I'm like, okay, what the hell? But I think we need to think deeper about it than I was at that moment. And that
I
makes sense. That makes sense of her showing that she's here in a room all alone with just a man who loves her. That could very well be the storyline, right? Like her relationship with Fame and how it's like lonely, except for maybe she's got like her man who loves her still, supporting her. But like, yeah, that's great. But what else is there to anything?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to think about. Watch, we're so off. Because guys, we're doing this video at a point where we don't have the film yet.
Right.
So we're really just guessing, but I think of the shots of her like on the Walk of Fame.
Yes. Oh,
I think
my
of all
God.
the shots of her not on stage. And those are that's the music videos I'm the most excited to see.
Yeah.
Are those of her not on stage. And so far we've only gotten the ones of her have been on stage with Max.
Yes. And I also think about the one where she like climbs the top of that like tower and she's in that like crazy outfit. Like that's stage 2. That's definitely on stage. But yeah, there's so many other tiny little clips that we got that aren't. And I definitely need to know what's happening in those. Yeah, I guess sometimes I'm like, well, it's just other scenes for her to strut and look hot on. But I think that there might be more to it.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a purpose. I wrote this down, and now that I'm looking back on it, I'm like, okay, why are you stretching so much, Molly?
Let's hear it.
I talked about how the main character shaves off everything, including his eyebrows. Could this be in relation to bleached eyebrow gate?
When you brought that up 4 seconds ago, I was like, don't.
No, you're like, please don't. No, because that's the first thing when his face comes up in the film and he has no eyebrows, I said, it's giving Miley Cyrus bleached eyebrow gate. It's giving Noah Cyrus.
Well,
not anymore.
I do think that might be a stretch.
Something Beautiful will rely on heavily, like The Wall, the visual component of it, the music. We see that it's only 55 minutes, so there's not that much time for anything else besides probably the music. And I think her describing in that Harper's Bazaar article that it's going to be hypnotizing and glamorous, we've already seen so far. I think each song is going to relate to either or all three. I think it's going to be a lot of fame. I think it's going to be a lot of maybe heartbreak, and not necessarily in terms of like her and Max, right? But heartbreak of like her and life, or her in her emotions.
Sure.
Like her personal heartbreak. She did say in the article that there's going to be themes of death too, into expressions of beauty, whatever that might mean. Maybe this is her, like maybe to death the way she thinks she should look. I don't know.
Sure, like death to her other eras.
Yeah.
You know,
her
the other
standards
ways
of beauty.
Yep.
I don't know. There's so many ways it could go.
Yeah.
I wonder how much we'll be wrong on this.
We've been wrong about every other prediction so far. So
it's very true. Did also ask ChatGPT, Miley's Something Beautiful, what might her wall look like? What would Miley's wall look like? Here's what her symbolic bricks might be. So here's a list of what her symbolic bricks might be.
Oh my God.
One brick would be her Disney past, her child stardom. The possible meaning could be identity control, being a product, loss of agency.
Yeah.
I think that'll always be part of who she is that time in her life.
Yes.
Sexualized media image. She talks about this every other era, I feel like
literally.
At some point.
Yes.
Possible meaning of this brick would be public judgment, reclaiming her narrative, misinterpretation. One brick could be heartbreak and death, intense personal loss, like her divorce, death of her pets.
Right.
Like her pets mean so much to her, and we're not just saying that because we got a whole album about it. She's made it clear in other ways too.
Yeah,
she's lost pets, or loved ones. She's lost both of her grandmas in the last few years.
Yeah,
I know she was really close with both of her grandmas. Toxic fame culture could be a brick. Obsession with perfection, exposure, lack of privacy. Yeah,
obviously.
Cultural burnout / internet toxicity. Overstimulation, needing emotional distance from the crazy Stan Twitter fans. Clocked. Clocked. Let's see. The need to always evolve. Reinvention fatigue. Chasing relevance.
The next.
The next.
You already have your next? I don't even know what I'm having for dinner tonight. In that case, it was a nice little career.
This is a good question I have for you that I've never thought about. Do you think she ever gets stressed about the next? Do you think she actually does? Or do you think it's something that happens so naturally to her? Or both? Both can be true.
It's gotta be a little bit of both. I feel like in the past, it's got to have just been, this is how I'm feeling right now, and this is what I'm doing. Now she is the star that has these distinct eras. I don't care what Taylor Swift fans say. Miley Cyrus invented the eras, and she has more distinct eras than any other artist. Dare I say.
I agree.
And so now that she's known as that girl, it's like, there might be stress to make it like different than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Especially what we're seeing right now with the rollout of Something Beautiful. We're getting a new voice online. We're getting new, I don't know, like a whole new style. I mean, here we are getting a film and a whole visual, like something that's she's never done before. And maybe there is a little bit of stress there, but I think it's both. It has to be both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. Speaking of her social media, she's been everywhere with how she's doing her language nowadays.
She really has.
She just called us Smilers, and I think it's literally because her fans bullied her into doing that. So
No, I literally think that, which is like, it's like, yes, thank you, give us what we want, but also don't reward bad behavior.
Yeah, don't do it.
But thank you.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Miley's bricks are or what her wall might look like.
That's insane that came from ChatGPT. That scares me.
Doesn't it?
It's so
Doesn't
good.
it scare you? It really is. This is what it's predicting something beautiful might say.
ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the world is dark, but I can make something beautiful out of it.
Yeah.
Period.
I think that's it.
I think that's literally it. I think that's all you need to know. And then it asks, do you want to keep the train rolling? I can help sketch out what a few scenes from something beautiful might look like based on all this, like a fan vision board, or build a concept breakdown track by track once the song titles drop.
Chill, bruh. No, I've had enough.
Her approach is not about total psychological breakdown like Pink. It's about transformation, like a phoenix rising from the wall's ashes.
Wow.
When ChatGPT is probably deeper than what this is going to be.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. Or it knows something we don't. Where's that guy that writes in? What are your predictions that don't seem to be predictions but leaks?
Okay, going back to that, remember when I think it was him or someone else that was like, this Twitter account is the one that's saying all these crazy predictions?
Yes, the Twitter account that has like 80 followers.
Okay, well, now it has 1.5 thousand. Unless it's a different account. They're still on private and they won't accept me to follow them. So if you're listening to this,
let me in.
Let me in. We won't say anything. Well, I guess we will.
We might.
We're podcasts. So
I do have a podcast where I broadcast my thoughts.
And what we've learned about Miley Cyrus, which includes what you would share. But okay, on another note, did you see that they're about to sell tickets for the Something Beautiful film for New York? For the premiere of it?
No. Oh, at the film festival?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miley has another event on Ticketmaster. It'll premiere. It'll be the world premiere of Something Beautiful on Friday, June 6th at 8 p.m. Tickets go on sale April 29th.
Wait, I want to go.
I mean, here's the thing. I would love to go. My hopes are still high on like the fact that she will do another concert or some kind of concert or festival at some point in the next couple of years. So I'm kind of like, I'll save my money for that. Because just because you go see the world premiere, are you going to see her? Like, are you going to see her in person? I don't know.
I would think she would be there.
They are going to do an exclusive sit-down interview with her after the film. But I don't know if that's going to be. I don't know if that's going to be on stage though, or if that's going to be something different. It's also on June 6th, which is really soon. On a Friday.
Yeah, I want to go. So
I
see
feel
y'all
like
there, I guess.
I feel like her team should just send us tickets.
Hello. Who do we have to beg? Someone write in the comments who I should beg.
Who do we need to bug in their DMs? Oh, and then we're recording this prior. But by the time this episode comes out, we will already have the live performance of End of the World from her David Letterman special.
We have the day we're recording is the day that it was announced. That's crazy. Yeah. Or it was yesterday maybe, but still. Do you think that was always the plan, or is it because, again, we've bullied her online?
The latter.
Quit bullying her, but also...
Thanks. Because she says in her Instagram post, she's like, thank you, David, for letting me share this. Because I think it was, like, licensed by his,
It's just the saddest thing. Oh, God.
It's tomorrow. It's just the saddest thing.
This is how mean people are on the internet. People are like, Miley, the only press Miley has done for this album is a performance she did a year ago of her hardly singing and just crying into the microphone.
I have no comment.
Anyway, guys.
That was the wall.
And I think we're going to eventually do a Mandy.
Yeah, so the wall kind of like sets the
template, maybe.
The template, exactly. Yeah. The kind of the template, the inspiration behind doing this project as a whole. So then in the future, we're going to watch Mandy, which is another film that she was supposed to take some themes and some inspiration from for also something beautiful. So she takes like The Wall and Mandy and Miley. The Wall and Mandy and Miley show is something beautiful.
Wait a minute. I didn't even think about that. Mandy has been a very reoccurring theme in her life.
Apparently.
Miley and Mandy show predicted something beautiful?
Maybe. So I'm excited to see what that is all about, and to see if we're getting another preview before May 30th.
Yeah, we have to get something, right?
Yeah, we're still over a month away.
We have to get at least another trailer.
I think so. For sure, because it's listed as trailer 1. And I also think it's fishy that there's an act 1.
Yeah, that's confusing to me too.
So
I'm just waiting for her to be like, track number 4, Burning Sun. And then it's her on that motorcycle in front of the Burning Sun.
We can only hope.
You can't tell me that there's not a Burning... You can't tell me Burning Sun is not on this album when there is literally a visual of her in front of a Burning Sun.
Literally. And the end of
the world.
End of the world with that bright light.
That looks like the sun is casting onto her.
It could mean anything.
On Patreon this week, we are going to start our book club series for Miles to Go. Book club for Miles to Go, Miley's autobiography that she wrote when she was 15 for some reason. We're going to go through each chapter and like share our thoughts and queen out about them.
Queen out about the chapters. Book club, book club.
Book club. And I think you can find it online.
Read along.
If you guys want to read along with us. It's a really easy read.
Well, it was written by a 15-year-old.
It's true. It's true. So it'll be really cute if you want to support us and follow along with our book club series that we're going to start up over there. You can click the link in our show notes. It's also patreon.com/talkmileytome. But either way, we love y'all. And love y'all. And thanks for tuning in on this episode of Talk Miley to Me.
Goodbye, book clubbers. We'll see you there.